Hello and welcome to episode 37 of the Victorian Studio podcast. My name is Maureen and I'm coming to you from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada on Monday, April the 25th, 2016. Welcome to all new and returning viewers. I hope you enjoy your visit with me in my studio today. I really do appreciate you taking the time to spend with me. So this past couple of weeks, I finally received some mail that I can't wait to share with you in the acquisition section at the end of the episode. So that was very exciting, as well as getting the news that I did pretty well in the podcaster challenge for the knitting games that are being held over with the Spicy Homemaker podcast, Melissa and Brittany over at Sip and Stitch. The Knitting Games Podcaster Challenge for April was some yarn dyeing, and I was one of the podcasters who were competing for some prizes in that. So I can't wait to share that with you on how I did there. So I did some knitting, some yarn dyeing, and some spinning, but I'm going to hold off sharing my spinning with you until the next episode because there's a pretty good story behind the wool that I was spinning up, and I wanted to share that with you in a separate episode because it's probably going to be a little bit more lengthy to go through, but it's very neat story that I discovered just today. So let's get started with the knitting. I got a few projects on the go. One I finished and one I started since I spoke with you last time. So let's start with the finished project. I completed my project for the Inside Number 23 podcast with Katie, my Harry Potter related socks. It was project that I wanted to get done by the end of the month for her Harry Potter knit along. So what I did was I started out by dyeing up some yarn using some Knit Picks Felici Bear yarn that I hand dyed in the colors to represent Fawkes the Phoenix from Harry Potter. So for those of you who are new, here's the photo or the picture that I got the colorway idea from. And this is what I have left in my skeins. I have 37 grams of that yarn remaining. So this is the yarn that I used. Because I was making socks, I took that skein and divided it into two balls so that I could make the socks at the same time, but on different needles, not both on the same needle, but at least I could do a little bit on one and a little bit on the other. So I was very pleased with that, and like I say, I have 37 grams left of that, so that's enough to do another small project, maybe make up some mini skeins using what's left. The pattern that I used for my Fawkes socks is called Girl on Fire by Cookie A. And there's the pattern. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry. And I was using my usual 1.5 US needles or 2.5 millimeter. The only thing I really changed on these is I made the cuffs a little bit longer than the pattern called for. So here they are. And I'm really pleased with how they turned out. So they really fit well. They're very nice. They're really comfy. And the Felici yarn is so very soft. So I'm really pleased with the way the yarn knitted up and the pattern from the Girl on Fire. Because it was Fawkes the Phoenix who kind of gets reborn in the flames. That's why I wanted to choose a pattern that was like flames. So yeah, I'm very happy to have those finished and entered into Katie's knit along. And I don't know if you noticed on this bag, I wanted to mention to you something that I'm now doing with all my project bags. If you notice, I have a fair amount of projects on the go right now, and sometimes it's difficult to tell exactly what project is in which bag. So I know some people use tags, and some people maybe put cards in the front in a pocket in the front, or clear bags so you can see what's inside them. But what I thought I would do is get it just a little piece of the yarn that I was using in the project and then just wrap it around the zipper pull. And that way I can see at a glance from the outside of the bag that, oh, that's the yarn I'm using. I know I'm using those, you know, this in this instance for socks. So the only one that I didn't do that on is my drawstring bag back here, because I ended up using up all of my yarn before I kind of came up with this solution to my problem of what project was in what bag. So yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever mentioned that before, but just throwing a piece of scrap yarn that you're using in your project on your zipper pull really comes in handy, makes it easy to tell what project's in there. So that's my only finished project for this week. The other things that I've been working on is, first of all, a cowl. Now this is called the Prisma Loop Cowl, and I'm making this for the Pen Hook and Needles Autism Awareness Knit Along. And this started April the 1st and goes until June the 30th. And in this knit along, they want to have people make things that are very colorful. So what I decided to do was a cowl, and the pattern that I chose is a free pattern on Ravelry called Prisma Loop. Oh, and of course I have to store it in my beautiful Star Wars bag that Marlisha from Pen Hook and Needles graciously gifted me, so it's perfect for this project. So the Prisma Loop is by Cloud House Studio, and basically it's like a long scarf, long rectangular piece that you Kitchener together both ends and then do top and bottom edging too. And when I was looking at, I discovered this because I wanted to use my Felici rainbow yarn. I thought that was really colorful to use for this knit along. And when I saw that somebody previously had used their Felici in this cowl, I thought perfect. So what I did was I used the rainbow Felici and also some black, the Briggs and Stratton. I have the tag here. I'm also using this black yarn by, Briggs and Little Durasport yarn. And I don't have any left of the rainbow yarn. It was the Felici. Because I'm at the point now where I used up all of the rainbow yarn. So this is what I've got done so far. And I really love the way the rainbow, really came out with the black. Really nice. So what I did was I just kept on knitting this cowl, 2 rows of black and then 4 rows of the rainbow yarn until I was out of rainbow yarn. And as I mentioned last episode, this is the first time I've done a provisional cast on. So that's how you start, with a provisional cast on. Now that I'm finished with the rainbow yarn, I'm going to be Kitchenering both of these together to make the loop for the cowl. And then the last steps that you do is create a top and bottom border, and I'll be doing those in black. And the pattern gives you the option of either doing the borders in garter stitch or a picot edge. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Maybe I'll do one of each. You know, the top with a border of just garter stitch and maybe the bottom with picot. I'll see. So yeah, that's almost finished actually. It won't take that much longer to do those edges because they're not very long, but I really love the way the colors came out, and I think that's really nice and bright for the Autism Awareness cowl. So if you're interested in participating in that cowl, there's still plenty of time. The lovely ladies, Talia and Marlisha at Pen Hook and Needles, are hosting that. There are some co-hosts as well. All the information is on the Pen Hook and Needles Ravelry group, so I'd recommend you head over there. There's some awesome projects being done over there in that knit along. So yeah, that's my second project. The next one I'm doing is very timely with the beginning of the new season of Game of Thrones yesterday. It was awesome. don't worry, no spoilers. I'm working on still my Winter is Coming shawl, and that is in my fondant fiber cat bag. And this is by Sally Jane Cameron, pink-haired girl of the Pink-Haired Girl podcast with her daughter Rachel. So this is called Winter is Coming, but it's based on the Game of Thrones. This is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, but it's really wonderful. I'm using US 4s or 3.5 millimeter needles for this. And the yarn that I'm using for this one is some German yarn, cat-adorned. This is their black and white colorway. I don't have the tag right now. That I wound off into a smaller ball from a larger skein of yarn that I got from cat-adorned. This is a very slow gradient yarn, so it goes from a light gray right to black. So I thought that would be perfect for Game of Thrones. So just undo it from my little bobbins DPN holders. I've got 6 of these, and I'll mention a little bit later in the episode about that as well, about another one of those. But this shawl, I started out with the grays. Here's the front, and each section represents a theme from Game of Thrones. So once it's blocked, you'll be able to see better, but it starts out with what they call the wall, which is an ice wall, and then snow, which is this lace pattern in here, which will show up a little bit better once it's blocked. And then came waves. That was a very interesting section, a feather and fan section to do. And now I'm on dragon scales, which is the bottom here. So I only have a couple more. I have to finish dragon scales, do another garter stitch, and then she has one last section to do. So yeah, it's really coming along very well. And I love the way the gradient goes with this yarn, how it just very gently transitions from the grays to the blacks. So lots of fun to work on that while watching Game of Thrones. Although I have to admit, watching the first episode, I really couldn't take my eyes off the screen too much. So I'll have to work on this when I'm re-watching every episode rather than watching it for the first time. So yeah, that's coming along really well. I'm very pleased with the pattern. It's really easy to follow, and it's really coming along well. So let's see, what's next? My Gryffindor Pride socks. This was another pair of socks I was hoping to get done for the inside number 23's Harry Potter knit along. There's no way I'm going to get done in the next 5 days, because I did get one sock done, but I have yet to do another. So that one's in my Harry Potter bag that I sewed up myself with my tag, and there's the yarns that I'm using for my Gryffindor Pride socks. So this has been a very interesting knit. Luckily I've done a fair amount of socks. I think this might be maybe my 10th pair of socks that I'm doing, and around that. So basically what I did was I purchased this pattern called Gryffindor Pride Socks by Anne Kingston. That's a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, and I really loved the Gryffindors on there, or the Griffins on there, the lions. Yeah, they're lions. Oh, the lions on there, because Roar Gryffindor. When the lion is their mascot. But I didn't want to do knee socks, so I decided, yes, I would just do it from about here, and then do 2 lions on the front and 1 on the back. And then on the feet is a really nice pattern. Don't really want to show you the whole thing because it's a paid-for pattern, but the bottom of the socks have a really nice design on them as well. So I thought that was really neat. But I have to admit, I did get kind of confused and frustrated when I got down to doing the heel turn. So basically what I did was I used her design but fell back on my vanilla sock pattern to actually create the socks. So it was pros and cons to that. The pros was I knew, how to do a heel turn and, how many stitches I needed and that kind of thing. And then how to do a gusset. But the bad thing is it's a little bit tight because it's color work, and I knit English style, which I think is a little bit tighter than continental. They are a little bit tight, so I'm thinking if they don't fit after I block them out, I'm going to redo this pattern using larger needles and maybe some different yarn. So I'll show you the one that I did complete. So there it is on my single sock blocker, and I'll just take it off so that you can see the lions a little bit better. So there's one on the front of the sock and one on the front of the foot. Then there's another one in the back, and then this really nice pattern starting with the heel and the foot. So I thought that was really neat. So I deviated from her pattern a little bit. Hers had some yellow lines running down the bottom of the foot as well. I just did roar on the sides rather than the full roar Gryffindor, because obviously I didn't have enough room to do all of that. So other than it's just at this point here, the kind of arch of the foot, that it's very tight on. So as I said, I haven't blocked these yet. I'll see how much they block out. But if it doesn't work, what I'm going to do is redo them in larger needle size and larger yarn. And I'll do the ribbing at the top a little bit tighter. This one's pretty loose. So now that I've done one, it kind of reminds me of when I was doing my color work mittens, the owl mittens. I ended up doing one first, kind of figuring out what I liked and what I didn't like about that pattern, and then going ahead and making another pair of mittens that I was pleased with. I ended up gifting those to my daughter. So I really love the way the pattern came out. I love the design of it, but it's just too bad that it's a little bit tight, and I don't know how much it's really going to stretch out. You don't want to stretch out color work too much because then it gets all distorted. So it was really neat to do the pattern, and I really want to have a pair of socks that fit. So I think what I'm going to do is see about getting maybe some different yarn and experimenting a little bit more. Now I know what I like and don't like about that. So, but at least I got the one done, and yeah, I was pleased with that. So if I don't use it as a pair of socks, I'll use it for something else. I'll maybe mention that a little bit later in the episode about what I can also use it for. So yeah, it was too bad I didn't get those done for that Cal, but as I mentioned before, I wanted to not rush this project and worry about a deadline for it. So I will continue on with this, and maybe next episode I will have started another pair to share with you. So let's see. Those are the projects that you've seen before. My last project that I wanted to share with you is something that I cast on just a couple of days ago, actually. I was looking at my stash and I was thinking I wanted to use something from my stash that was really old, that I really love, and I really wanted to use in a project. And so this yarn is actually the first kind of luxury yarn that I'd ever purchased. First time actually I purchased more than one skein from our local yarn shop. Previous to that I had mostly started knitting a couple of years ago using yarns from Michael's. So when daughter and I were taking knitting lessons at our local yarn shop, they had a percentage off. I can't remember how much it was right now, but while you were at your classes, you could shop the yarns there and get a discount on yarns. So took advantage of that and picked up some beautiful yarn, and I've had 6 skeins of it sitting in my stash, and I thought it was about time that I found a project to use for that. So I used Ravelry's great feature to search on projects based on the yarn, on what other people had done, and I actually came across a pattern that I had had in my library for quite a long time, and it was a vest. So that's what I started. So it's in my fondant fiber cat bag, and there's a piece of the yarn that I'm using. And of course inside I have my little matching Mina Makes notions pouch for this bag. So the pattern that I'm using for this is called the Nordic Trail Vest. And it's a pretty simple vest, and it's by Elizabeth Smith, and it's a paid-for pattern on Ravelry. Now I know what you're saying. You're saying, Maureen, you still have that cardigan sitting waiting to be finished. I know. What I wanted to do was I wanted to make a vest for 2 reasons. I think the first one, to kind of build up my confidence that I can get back to my cardigan and finish that off with a little bit more experience. That's the second reason, to get a little more experience knitting an actual item to wear. Other than socks and mittens, I haven't done anything that is fitted that I can wear. So I thought I would start out or go back and do something a little more simple and gain my confidence back. To get back to my cardigan after I do this, and hopefully this goes well, and it should. The yarn that I am using is Malabrigo Mecha or Mecha. It is the teal feather colorway, and I just love this yarn. And as I said, I got this in 2014, in February of 2014. So I thought it was high time that I actually knit it up into something. So it is beautiful. Here it is caked up. So I've got 6 skeins of this. So it should be enough for this, this vest. But in case it wasn't, it was going to be close. I want to make this vest longer than the pattern calls for, and I know a lot of people who have made it longer, because they did mention it is kind of short. So if I was making it right to pattern, I think I would have plenty of yarn, but I do want to make it longer. So what I thought I would do is, check back with the local yarn shop, Wolseley Wool, and unfortunately they didn't have any left in stock. Now I know it's like 2 years later, I'm definitely not going to get the same lot number, but I didn't think that was a problem, because this has a band that goes around the front of the vest at the end, and it's a different orientation than the knitting you're doing for the rest of the body of the vest. So I didn't think having a matching lot number would be too much of an issue, because I could use that for that part of the pattern. But unfortunately they're all out of the teal feather. And then I checked on Ravelry, and there are none on D-stashes. So I was getting kind of worried. I finally did find a couple of balls at Webb's. So I ordered a couple online. So hopefully I don't need them. If I don't, that's fine. I can use them for something else. I mean, in my beautiful favorite color teal. I'm sure we'll find something else to knit it up with. But I wanted to be sure that I did have enough to finish this project and make it the length that I felt comfortable wearing, rather than scrimping and making it too short and then ending up not really liking the finished project. So now I know I'm going to have plenty. And Webb's, I think they even had it on sale, or it was at a price where it was even less than, unfortunately to say, my local yarn shop had it for. So it was worth finding it online. And I actually even did a swatch, a test swatch. When I did my cardigan, I used the knitting that I did on the first sleeve as my test swatch. But this time I knit up a swatch, and I was bang on for the needles and the yarn. This pattern calls for a bulky yarn, and it has been done quite a few times in this Malabrigo yarn. So what I did was I did a test swatch, and then I just used a couple of wooden toothpicks to mark off when I was counting the number of stitches. It was really easy to count between. I put one toothpick in at one edge, then measured across the 4 inches, placed another toothpick there, and then did my count. And it was really easy to count off that way. So both my row and stitch counts were, well, the stitch counts were perfect. The row was just a teeny bit off, but as I said, I'm making it longer anyway, so that's not a concern. So I was very pleased with myself. I actually did a test swatch. So here is my project over just the last couple of days. Because it's bulky yarn and you're using size 10 needles, I believe that's 6mm needles, it really goes quickly. Another one of my little bobbins DPN holders. I use them for my circular needles. And here is my vest so far. So it is, I think, the second largest. I think it's extra, well, the third largest size on the pattern, extra large. So it's really coming along nicely. Such a quick knit. I've already gone through almost 2 skeins of yarn so far. So it has a front lace pattern, but like I say, there's also going to be a band that goes around this. Then in the middle of the back, it has a really nice lace pattern as well, and that'll look really nice when it's done. And again, another simple lace pattern on the other front. Really easy to do. So basically you just knit up to under the arms, and then you split and then do the front and back separately. So yeah, this is going along really, really quickly. So soft. I just love this yarn. It is so incredibly squishy, soft, and I just love the color. I hope that's coming out okay. I might add in some pictures at the end to show it a little bit better. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this. So hopefully, once I'm finished this vest, I can then have the confidence to pull my cardigan back out and finish it up. So we will see about that. But it's been fun to actually knit with such large needles when I've been doing a lot of projects on very small needles. It's really neat to then switch to the larger ones and really get so much done in a short time. So that is all my knitting that I have to share with you. Okay, now finally I'm able to share with you some yarn dyeing I did over a month ago to enter into the Knitting Games Podcaster Challenge for April. Sweet Melissa at the Spicy Homemaker podcast contacted me and asked if I'd like to participate in this challenge, and of course, being a Hunger Games fan, I jumped at the opportunity. Although I haven't been dyeing yarn very long, I've been having such fun doing it. I thought this would really get the creative juices going. What we were instructed to do is to choose 2 characters from the Hunger Games and do 2 skeins of yarn that were inspired by each of those characters. So in total we had 4 skeins to send mini skeins into Melissa so that they could collect them all up, do some voting on Ravelry, and then the skeins would be split up into the first and second prizes along with some other goodies to the top 2 vote getters in those forums. So I was very, very lucky. I was very nervous, actually, during the voting week, which was, I believe, April 9th to 16th. Other than going in there the first day and placing my vote, I couldn't bear to watch the voting proceed during the week, and it wasn't until it was over that I dared take a look and was thrilled to find that I had won second place. And the first place winner was Deanna. Congratulations, Deanna. She is actually an Etsy indie dyer, so it made me feel pretty good that she took first place, but that I had come in second. So thank you, anybody who may be watching that voted for my skeins. It was a blind vote. You didn't know who had created the skeins that you were voting on, but they were being voted on as a group of 4. So I thought I would share with you the 4 skeins that I created. The first character that I chose was Caesar Flickerman, and if you've watched not Game of Thrones, Hunger Games, you'll know that he is the announcer and TV commenter or host during the Hunger Games, and Stanley Tucci is portrayed him in the movies and was wonderful. So I'll insert a couple of pictures of my inspiration photos. The first one I did, this is of Caesar's jacket and brocade style of the jacket that he wore in that first picture. So I can't remember exactly the colorways that I used, but I used mostly my landscapes dyes for these. There's turquoise in there with pops of orange, and that created some of the browns in there as well, and the greens. So I was really pleased with that. So what I did was I dyed these all up on Knit Picks Felici, and what I did was I split a full skein of Felici in half and did 2 colorways from each one, so I ended up only using 2 full skeins of Felici. And from that, we were only needed to send in a little mini skein. So this is what remains of what I dyed up for the Podcaster Challenge. So that was the first one, based on Caesar. The second one for Caesar is this purple and whites, and in some of the scenes in Hunger Games, his hair is dyed purple. It's usually either purple or blue, and he has these bright white teeth, so this is representative of that. So his purple hair and very white teeth. And the other character that I decided to do was Effie Trinket. And if you've seen the Hunger Games, you'll know Effie. She wears the most outrageous outfits and hair and makeup, which is commonplace in the capital. I named all 4 of my skeins Capital Couture, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the last 2 for Effie were a lot of fun to do. In one of the reaping scenes, she's seen wearing a dress full of butterflies and butterflies in her hair and everything. So they're monarch butterflies. I'll insert a picture of that here. So of course I had to do a colorway based on that. So that's using yellows, oranges. I left a little bit of the white of the bear yarn, and then of course some black, some of the Currawong black that comes out so well with those landscape dyes. I was really pleased with that. So I was very pleased with that skein for Effie. And then the last one I think is my favorite. It's again another Effie inspired colorway, but I was really pleased the way this turned out because it ended up being so close to the reference picture. Here's the photo of Effie in her pink and gold outfit, and there's the colorway that I ended up creating with that. So I'm really pleased the way the golds and the very light mauves and pinks came out for that. So those were the 4 colorways that I did for the Hunger Games. And as I mentioned, really thrilled that I took second place, which means we'll be getting not only all of the half of the mini skeins that were submitted by all of the podcasters in the challenge, but some extras. And what's neat about it is I don't win it. This is a prize for the viewers of the Victorian Studio podcast. So what's going to happen is Melissa's going to be sending me my prize package, and it will be awarded to one of my viewers as a complete package. So when it arrives, I'll show you exactly what's in there. And what I told her is it's perfect timing because my podiversary is coming up June the 1st. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it as one of the prizes for my podiversary celebration. So I hope you'll stay tuned for details on how to win that. There'll be more than just that prize from the knitting games. I'm going to be, as I mentioned, I have those DPN holders that sweet Danny from Little Bobbins Knits created for me. And not only did she send me the 6 that I ordered from her, she sent me another one to give away on the podcast. And this was quite a while ago, but I wanted to hang on to it for a special giveaway. So I'm going to also be including that. I'll show that next episode for the podiversary giveaway. And I'm coming up with a few other things to also give away for that celebration. And speaking of celebrations, while I remember, I'm also making up some of my own prizes for the Canada Cow. So when I was first deciding to participate in the Canada Knit Along that will go from July the 1st to September 30th, I thought, well, I'll get prizes from Canadian suppliers. But then I thought, well, I'm Canadian, so why don't I make all of the prizes for the Canada Cow? And so that's what I'm going to do. I've designed and ordered some very special material. I'm going to be making project bags, some notions bags from my own artwork, and I'm going to be making stitch markers and progress keepers, so those will be included. So as I make those up, I will show you those prizes for the upcoming Canada Cow. And the basic idea for that is you don't have to be Canadian to participate. What you just need to do is do something that's related to Canada. You can use a Canadian designer's pattern, maybe some Canadian indie dyer's yarn, or you can do a pattern that is Canada-like. I know there's a beautiful maple leaf shawl I'd love to try. Whatever you think can be related to Canada. And I'll have links for suggestions from the Two Twisted Skeins podcast. They have a wonderful list that I'll also link to. When we get closer to that, I'll give you more information on that. So very excited to actually create some prizes for the upcoming cow. So the other dyeing that I did over the last couple of weeks, after I did this one, this pink and gold skein, I wanted to try gold again because Winnipeg has a statue on the top of our legislative buildings called the Golden Boy. And it's a very famous statue. I'll insert a picture of it here. So I thought about creating a colorway that was called Golden Boy. So that's the first one that I did in the last couple of weeks. Now this I think is more yellow than I would have liked, so I may still over dye it. I will see. It is pretty bright yellow on here, but there are some darker browns in here that make it a little more goldish. And then I thought I'll add some turquoise in here that ended up turning more green, but that's fine because I think the Golden Boy represents, he holds sheaf of wheat, and I think the green is great for showing we do have a big industry of wheat and grains here in the prairies. So yeah, I haven't done too much in yellow in my dyeing yet, so I thought I would make that, and I called that Golden Boy. So when I did this skein, I had some leftover it was not just turquoise. I think I also added some blues because I had some blue water left in the pot when that was done. And instead of just throwing it away, I thought I would just dye up another skein. And this one ended up being my more favorite than the first skein. Isn't that always the way? It's kind of just like a fluke. What I did was I just got a bare skein again of Felici, and then just half submerged it in the blue water to give a little bit of blue tinge to the skein. But I knew I wanted to leave it mostly bare yarn and have very little color on this one. So I tried my first speckling experiment, and so I ended up creating this skein. And to me it looks like a confetti cake. Like I say, it's mostly the bare yarn, but it has these speckles of the reds, blues, and a little bit of green in there, but a little bit of purple. But the light blue, tealy blue, is just from the water. So I'm really pleased with the way that one turned out. I think that will make interesting socks when that's knit up. So I was really pleased, using up some dye and then trying my first hand at some speckling, which was, yeah, a lot of fun to do. So I hope you enjoyed seeing that. So let's see, I guess what's left to share with you is the acquisitions that finally arrived. Now, well over a month ago, well actually it's been a lot of months ago, ever since I think I started collecting that Vincent van Gogh opal yarn, I realized that there was also a Harry Potter line from Opal that had come out back, I believe it was 2008, and then was discontinued. Opal seems to do that. They do a yarn for a little while and then they discontinue it. So it's really hard to get this yarn if you're not there at the time. So obviously, because that was like 6 years before I even started knitting again, there was no way that I could get it while it was in stock in the stores. So I'd seen a few people had, a few balls of Harry Potter yarn, but it's very treasured amongst knitters, especially Harry Potter fans, which made it doubly hard to get, not only for knitters, but people who were fans of Harry Potter. But about a month or so ago, I came across a website. I don't know how I did. I don't know if I was searching or it was as a result of something else I was looking for. I found a website from Switzerland that had some Harry Potter yarn, and I thought, oh, wonderful. At least if I can get a couple of balls of this would be wonderful. So it was all, in the Swiss language. I couldn't understand it at all, but I was able to use Google Translate to at least see that, yeah, they had, some of this, and it looked like it was still in stock. So I wrote to them, and sure enough, they did, and they sent me some of what they had, but it wasn't the whole collection. The whole collection of Harry Potter yarns were 8 different skeins, and I'll put a picture up here of the poster that came out. It's from the Half-Blood Prince movie when it came out, and the skeins of yarn were representative of some of the characters from that movie. So the Swiss company that I got it from, and I will link them, they still do have a couple left. They had 4 different colorways from the Half-Blood Prince. So the first one that I got from them was Dumbledore. And I love the pinks and the blues in this. And I actually got a couple of balls of this because I really like that colorway. So that was the first one that I was able to get. And then they also had Lupin. Now these are 100 gram 4-ply yarn. And the next one that I got was Draco. They had, love this colorway with the blues and the grays. And then the last one that I got from the Swiss supplier was Harry and Ron. So that's really nice. I love the blues in that. So that was wonderful. I'm really pleased that I was able to get these 4. And there was 4 other colorways that I was still missing. So I continued to search online, and I actually found another site that didn't look like it had been updated for years. And so I thought it was, you know, something that they had listed many years ago and they just didn't update it. And I thought for sure that, you know, they would just, when I wrote to them asking about it, again, it was in German, I couldn't understand it, but I wrote, and they were very kind and wrote back right away and said they did still have some Harry Potter yarn in stock, and I was thrilled. They had the 4 colorways that I still needed. So the other thing is that these are the 100 gram 4-ply. What I got from Germany is the 6-ply 150 gram skeins. So I thought that was very interesting. I'll show you a comparison of the two. This is the Ron colorway. So as you can see, it's larger and it is a thicker yarn. Really, really soft though. Really love this. These would make great socks, but I can see making something even different than socks out of the thicker yarn. So I was able to get the last 4, as I said, Ron from this company in Germany. And again, I will link their site because they still do have some in stock. And here is Harry. So that's wonderful. And also, this is Tonks. Now I'm really surprised that they use Tonks and Lupin for colorway inspiration when, to me, I would think that they would do maybe Hermione, and how about Hagrid? I'm really surprised they used a couple of lesser characters, but yeah, it's too bad they didn't have a Hermione and a Hagrid, because they both knit in Harry Potter as well, so they would have been perfect for colorways for these opal yarns. So that was surprising. So I was thrilled though to get those, but the one that I really, really wanted to get the most and have been looking for, you know, even if I couldn't get any others, this is the one that I really wanted to get, and it's Hedwig. And I did get it in the 6-ply 150 gram skeins from this, I think it's Mariana's Wool in Germany. But again, I will link those websites, both websites that I was able to find Harry Potter yarn in. And I love Hedwig so much. I didn't get just 1, 2. I ended up getting 3 skeins of the Hedwig. So I am going to make something really, really special with that. So being a huge Harry Potter fan, I was just so thrilled to finally get all of those, the entire collection, in my stash. So yeah, I can't wait to start using these. The Hedwig is just so beautiful and so soft. And the prices, you know, I mean, looked like they were just pretty much the same prices they'd always been. I know somebody on eBay is trying to sell old Harry Potter yarn for ridiculous prices, and there are people watching those eBay sales, and I'm thinking, if you do some research and you're not afraid to ask questions, sometimes if you go to a site you may not speak the language, but luckily on both of these wonderful websites they answered me in English. We were able to do the transactions fine through PayPal, had no problem at all. They arrived in perfect condition, as you can see, and I'm just so thrilled with both of these companies. So I would highly recommend, if you're on the lookout for some Harry Potter yarn, to head over there and see what you can find, because like I say, it's been discontinued for so long. It's so difficult to get. On Ravelry, I don't think anybody has any for trade or sale, so I know people really covet this yarn, so I'm thrilled to have it in my stash. So I hope you enjoyed seeing that, and I'm looking forward to finding some very special projects to use them in. So I think, if I uncover my notes here from all this opal yarn, I think that's all that I have to share with you today. I'm going to add in a little video I did about a week or so ago of Dakotah, our black cat. Dakotah is a very special cat. We have 3, but she's our middle cat, and she is just so smart. She's really a very special cat, and I hope if you're a cat person, you don't mind watching a very short video of a routine that we do every morning when I go to work. Every morning when we have a water bed, and I tuck in the sides of the bed, and she's gotten into the habit of tucking when I do, and it's hilarious to see her helping me make the bed, because she waits until I tuck and then she does her tucking. And then to reward her for doing such a good job, I get out her little red ball. Now this is just a little red fluff ball. It's like a raw wool fiber ball. It's very, very light, and she just loves this thing. And she loves to play fetch with it, and she plays fetch all the time up and down the hallway. But in the mornings, she likes to play fetch on the bed. So I thought one morning I would set up the camera and just show her playing fetch here. I've sped it up double time, so it's not too long. And hope you get a kick out of seeing her playing fetch on the bed in the morning in our usual morning routine. Let's see. Yeah, the only other things is coming up, I'll talk more about the Canada knit-along, the Canada cow, and the podiversary that's coming up. I can't believe already it's going to be a year, June the 1st. It's going to be coming up pretty quickly. So I'm excited about getting some things organized for that as well. So until next episode, I hope you have a nice couple of weeks enjoying all the hobbies that you're doing, or getting out and doing some yard work. I know that's something I have yet to do. It's kind of cool here today. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful couple of weeks, and that you'll come back to join me again in my Victorian studio for another visit. So until then, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.